Good morning, guys. Good morning. Good morning. Hope you guys are ready to get this morning started. Hope you had a great day yesterday. Good morning. Trying to see what glasses I need to see y'all with. Do we need blue today? Good morning. Good morning. Yes, ma'am. Miss Cree. Yes, ma'am. I think I can see y'all better in these than I can in these. Good morning. Miss Cree, I'm free today, boo. I know your schedule is probably busier than mine. So you let me know. Good morning. Welcome to the Fearless Morning Show, where we are having confessions and conversations about your everyday life. My name is Yamitra JoJo Waddell, the only Live Past Crazy special. So what better place to be than here with me? Hope you're ready. Good morning, Josh. Good morning. And how do you do? I'd like to introduce myself to you. Good morning, Miss Margaret. Enjoy the beach. Good morning. Welcome to the Fearless Morning Show. We're having confessions and conversations about your everyday life. My name is Yamitra JoJo Waddell, the only Live Past Crazy special. So what better place to be than here with me? Y'all, let's do a rundown. Please make sure you share the show because sharing is caring. If your friends and family don't have Facebook, send them to the YouTube channel. They don't have that, send them to the podcast, the Live Past Crazy Show. If they don't have that, give them a book. If they don't have that, they can watch the movie. If they don't want that, pray for them, because that's all we're going to be able to do. If you want a Team Abundance shirt, we will be excellent. We will be proficient and persistent. bit.ly/Team Abundance shirts. Thank you, Margaret. So you can order your shirt now if you want your name on the back, because on the back it says execute, play, and win. And you want, like I have Waddell 16 on the back of mine. If you want your name on the back, it is an additional cost. So please make sure you keep that in mind. Thank you, Joshua. So yesterday, y'all, what we talked about yesterday, shots fired. That's what we talked about yesterday. You got to shoot your shot. And I spent the day doing that. When I'm learning that once I learn something, I've got to apply it immediately. I'm not going to give myself an opportunity to say no to me. I'm not going to give myself a chance to say no to me. So when I say it, I think it, I learn it, I apply it. And that's going to take away your self-doubt and your distancing when you immediately do. What Yoda say? There is no try. There's only do. So, yesterday we talked about that. Okay, Lucky. All right. Yes, immediately is important. And I want you to understand the importance of taking action. Now, I have learned that the hard way. Like when I have a thought, I take action right then. I don't allow the thought to go and sit and on some of them I do, but the majority of them I'm taking action right then. That takes away the opportunity for me to say no to me. I don't have time for JoJo to come in and be like, no, girl, you know you can't do that. I need her to go have a seat. She can't talk. So we're taking action today. Let's get right into the quote of the day. Y'all, I have fall allergies. And I'm trying not to sound like a man. Yes, it will. So the quote of the day. May your choices reflect your hopes and not your fears, by Nelson Mandela. May your choices reflect your hopes, not your fears. Let's think about that for a minute. If we stop right now, in every decision that we have made up until this point, that's what you say in spades, Lucky. My daddy used to say that in spades. When he threw his card down, he said, you think long, you think wrong. I digress. Focus. If some of us stop and think right now, the choices that we've made in our life, we could probably say 75% of those have been made out of fear. They have been made out of fear, and our choices reflect that. Our life right now reflects that we made choices out of fear. They don't reflect that we made choices out of our hope and our dream and our vision. It reflects that we made them out of fear. So think about that today. Guilty. I've made many decisions out of my hopes for the fear, made decisions out of my choices for my fear and not of my hope. They didn't reflect what I was hoping to happen. They reflected my fears. So today, I think that's a very good quote to make you go, Speaking of, let me just interject this right fast. If the Fearless Morning Show is too early for you, tonight is the premiere of the Late Night Show with JoJo and with Arsenio and JoJo. He is in Thailand. Well, he's on his way to Costa Rica. So, Late Night Show is coming up tonight at 11 p.m. here on Facebook, the Late Night Show with Arsenio and JoJo. So I invite you to join me tonight at 11. We about to be ready. Study long, study wrong. There you go. There you go. So may your choices reflect your hopes, not your fears. Nelson Mandela. Think about, if I don't say nothing else today, think about that today. So let's talk about the thought of the day. Whose team you on? Whose team are you on? And I think that is important because we've talked about cutting team members. We've talked about all executing. We've talked about winning. We've talked about all the things, but you. So when I ask myself some questions, I wish I could say something back. If I ask myself a question, y'all know I'm fixing to ask y'all one, right? So here we go. How do you know you picked the right team? So, but before, in picking the right team, let's ask some questions. Let's talk about so what. Okay? Let's talk about so what, and I got them written down here so I don't forget them. So what? Your surroundings are what they are. So what? Your relationships are what they are. So what? Your surroundings ain't changing at the moment. Are you? Your family is who they are. So what? Your friends are who they are. So what? Your relationship is what it is. So what? So the question becomes not only so what, but in answering those questions, now you have the opportunity to decide whose team you fixing to play on. Because I don't want you to be on team lack by default. Thank you, Miss Coffee. I don't want you to be on team lack by default. But if our so what is not something that's going to put us in motion, then it becomes a very important question. And it's hard. And in that so whatness that you're answering, it's hard. You've never done this before. And that's okay. That's the purpose of choosing your team members. You wanting to create that vision is an amazing thing. And you can't do it by yourself. I can't be Team Abundance alone. I can't be my sister's keeper by myself. It's going to take a whole host of people. And that is you, the Fearless Morning Show. And the people you share it with and the people they share it with. That is the Team Abundance that we are creating. Okay? We've never done this before. So it's okay. That's the purpose of building your team. But in building your team, boo, you got to figure out whose team you playing for. Yes, sir. And in doing that, make sure that you are not picking people who reflect your fears. You don't want to pick people who are reflecting your fears. If they highlight the fact that you are afraid to do this vision, maybe maybe they don't need to be a team member right now. Maybe by default they like their team, and you out here trying out for both teams, trying to figure out which you want to be, Team Abundance or Team Lack. You don't know. By default, you already been on Team Lack. So what? There's some things that are current right now. We talked about that a couple of weeks ago. Your current reality is going to make it hard for you to see the vision that you want. Let's deal with some givens. That's a given. What you're going through right now is going to make it hard for you to comprehend that there's something different out there for you. Right? That's okay. That is the importance of your team, and the importance of building your team and knowing you cannot do this by yourself. So you got to take advantage of your team members. We're here to support you. There is no Michael Jordan without Scottie Pippens. I love Scottie Pippens. There you got Kobe and Shaq. They go together like peanut butter and jelly. They just like soda and salt and vinegar potato chips, like chocolate and Pepsi. They go, certain things go together. We don't want stuff that don't match. And if you are a movie buff, in Friday, he said, y'all always have things that don't match. Kool-Aid, no sugar, peanut, no butter. Or peanut butter, no jelly. So you want to make sure that your team is there to support you, and that you guys have all the same agenda. So you got to start asking yourself these questions. So what? And you need to ask your team members these questions. So what? So what? Our surroundings are what they are. So what? This relationship is what it is. Mama and them ain't changing. My family is who they are. My friends are this. So what? Am I willing to do something about that? And are my choices going to reflect my hopes or my fears? So right here, where you need the support of your team, that's why it's important to figure out who is on your team. When you start to ask that question, so what? Your support team, the people who are on Team Abundance with you, should be able to step in and remind you of, this is your vision, Joe, and we're working it backwards. And this is what we're doing. And this is why we're achieving that. Now, we talked about that yesterday. There's some people, God bless their heart, they want to be on the team so bad, but they just can't. They can't be on your team. No matter how bad you want them to be there, they cannot be on your team. Doesn't make them a bad person, but you got places to go. And when you start asking that so what question, it's going to make it easier for you to define your team members. We already talked about how to cut people off the team, how to trim the team, how to build a team, all the things. Exactly. Lucky. And I can't make you want what I want. What JoJo wants is totally different than what you want. And now how we going to go about it? It's totally different from each other. But here on Team Abundance, we are talking moving language. Remember, we talking moving language, and you understand my moving language. If somebody comes and they talking crazy to you, and it does not talk to your spirit and your soul, you need to start asking yourself this question: is this person going to be a good team member? Regardless if I love them or not. Are they stable enough to be a good team member right now? And if they're not stable enough to be a good team member right now, that may mean today you didn't make the cut. Maybe you can come back and try again later. Because what you don't want to do is, the weakest link in the chain. You don't want to have that, and then that's the only player you got left to put into the game with 6 minutes left, with 6 seconds left in the game, and somebody got to take that winning shot, and you're going to give it to the weakest link. That is the person who with all their heart wants to be with you. They want to be with you on your journey, but you know in your heart of hearts they're not stable enough. They ain't showed up for practice enough. They don't have the right mindset. They talk a good game, but their actions make a lie out of their words. That person, they can't come. No matter how much you love them. Yes, what is that? What's the 3 questions I ask myself? What is my intent? What is my intention? And why am I saying yes? And so, no matter how much I love them, If they cannot go, it doesn't mean you can't come back and reapply for Team Abundance. It doesn't mean that. It simply means maybe this championship is not the one that you need to win with me. There will be others. See, we're not just winning a championship. We are winning several of them. We shall win many of them. It ain't a one-time thing. It's just not a one-time thing, because there's always going to, and you can look at your championship game as your career that you're changing, your lifestyle that you're changing, your mindset, your friendship, your boo thing, your side piece, your man, your girl, whatever. It could be that. Whatever you define at that moment as the thing that you are focused on, that you're determined to win, that's your championship. So you don't just have one. We win several of them, but we will be excellent, we will be proficient, and we will not quit. Right. You're going to reapply in 6 months. Maybe your drug test come back clean then. Exactly. And we have got to be okay with telling people that. And that's the hard part. So how do you know you're picking the right team, y'all? You need to ask yourself the so what's questions. So in picking the right team, if I ask them, if I go and I tell them, this is my current reality, but this is where I want to be. If they say, "What, JoJo, look at where you are. You ain't got nothing. You barely got a place to live. Like you washing your clothes in the bathtub. Like, do you see where you are?" If they are focused on my lack, then by default, they are no longer my team member. By default. Because I'm speaking a moving language. So how do we pick the right team? Number one, you got to ask yourself, if I say, so what? If I come to you and I say, you know what, this I want to do, and they remind me of my current situation, and I say, so what? And they are insistent upon honoring my lack while I'm trying to honor my abundance, that's not the team member for me. It's not. Exactly. And if I don't define who can get on this team, then who will? So as you start to ask yourself that question, so what? Apply it to your team members. I need you to take advantage of the team members who have done something that maybe you haven't done before. They're there for your support. That's the purpose of my Sister's Keeper, the purpose of Sister Rise, the Fearless Morning Show. Yes. And you got to be mindful how many players it take to win the championship. You got to have your main superstar players. You got to have your backup players. But we all got to be talking the same language. We all got to be moving forward. They have got to reflect my hopes and not my fears. And they should be saying, go JoJo, it's your birthday. They should be cheering me on. By the way, if Leah is on today, it's her birthday. Happy birthday, Leah. Good morning. Exactly. And you've got to be mindful of those who are on your team, who are chanting your name and who are wishing you well but not wishing you well. You got to do some hard looking of the peoples. You got to do some hard thinking of the peoples. Like, what are you really here for? Because some people are here to ride your coattail. Some people are here just to be able to say that they know you. Some people are here just to say, well, you know what? Remember when you used to do this? Remember when you used to do that? Yep. And you've got to know, you got to understand your position. I've got to understand my position as the coach. That we talked about number 6 was being able to call the shots. I got to be able to call the shots. Whether I love that team member or not, I got to be able to cut them and send them on with love. And say, you know what? I need you to catch me in another 6 months down the line. Maybe you're ready to show up more for practice. And here's the thing. It is going to take mental strength, emotional strength to begin this journey. It's going to take mental and emotional strength on this journey. It's going to take it to win this championship. It's going to take it to show up for practice every day. And some people, they need to stay in the practice mode of getting the mental and emotional together before they're able to play on the team. And that may be you. And if that's you, maybe you need to take a step back and be like, you know what, let me handle this part of my business first before I get out here and try to play. I'm a firm believer, and I believe this with my whole heart. And I will argue this point with my breath. That if you have not completely healed, if you have not completely gotten over what you're doing, what happened to you, if you can't tell your story, your idea, your thought, whatever happened to you, whatever situation, hurt, harm, danger, if you can't tell it from a place of this no longer affects my life, and you try to help someone else, you both will fall and die. You will trip another person up in your growth process, and you will look up and that person will be mad at you because they assumed that you were whole and you were not. So don't start this journey to help someone, to say you're on Team Abundance, if you haven't fully healed from those things yourself. Like, I couldn't tell my story of domestic violence until I healed all aspects of it. Because if I told it and I wasn't healed already or fully, I was going to hurt somebody else along the journey. And then I'm responsible for 2 lives. So as you begin this journey, be mindful that you're bringing other people along. Be mindful that they're following you. And if you haven't mentally and emotionally prepared yourself for that, if you're not mentally and emotionally healed from that, you are doing more damage than good. They will be looking for you for answers, directions, and solutions, and you will not have them because you're knee deep in the process yourself. Absolutely, Mr. Lucky. And in every situation, as you teach and you help, be mindful of where you are in your journey. Period. I like to share that I know what it's like to be broken, but I know how I can show you the beauty in healing. I know what it's like to be broken, hurt, ashamed. I know that part, but I have healed. Let me show you the healing process. So as we pick our team members this morning, may your choices reflect your hopes, not your fears. What are your choices reflecting? And think about that in your team members. And think about that when you say, so what? So the question becomes, so what? Take advantage of your team members. They are here to support you. The ones who've been playing on the team for a minute, who understand the game, lean on them for support. How do you know that you picked the right team? Are they talking your language? Your surroundings are there. So what? Your relationship is what it is. So what? So what are you going to do? Because there's some factors that right now are not changing. So what are you going to do? Are you going to continue to reflect your hopes or your fears? Now, whichever one you reflect is reflected of your team that you just chose. I understood that times were hard right then, and I couldn't understand it. But so what? What am I going to do about it in the meantime? Yes, I ain't got no money. Yes, I wash my clothes in the bathtub. So what? My current situation is not going to reflect my destiny or my vision that I want to achieve. It is right there that you got to decide that you're going to win on this vision thing, win on your goals, win on your aspirations. So what that my current everything looks this way? What does that have to do with me? What am I doing despite of anyway, because of, it doesn't matter. What am I doing? Period. Yes. And that comes into play when you also looking at your team members. Are they taking advantage of you? And are your team members putting their fears onto you? So now you got to shoulder everybody's. We're here to support each other. not tear each other down. And there's a difference in me supporting you and you're a good team member and maybe you need support for a little bit and I got you. But if it becomes habitual and you're not pulling your weight, because everybody's got to pull their weight. Everybody has a position to play. And if they're afraid to play that position, boo, that's not your fault. So what? So that's your question today. So what? So what, you hate your job? What you fixing to do about it? So what, your family doesn't support you? What you fixing to do? So what, your relationship ain't what you thought it was going to be? So what you going to do? So what, your family is who they are. What are you going to do? Right. And we got to know the difference between those two. And the more you grow, the more you understand the difference. Because some people say, oh, I'm just supporting. No, you hindering, you not supporting. There's a difference. So once you take advantage of your team members, the ones who have went ahead and done things before you, who can help you along the journey. If you've never done this before, that's okay. That's the purpose of Team Abundance. That's the purpose of choosing your team. They are doing something you've never done before, and you want to follow in that footsteps. Or you want to achieve the thing that they have achieved. And in that, you've got to follow the playbook. You've got to be able to answer these hard questions. Whether you want to or not, boo. You got to be able to answer these questions. And if you're not willing to ask these questions and answer them, then by default, you staying on your team. Yep. It can be so dangerous. Because here's the thing. And as a survivor of domestic violence, this is what I've learned about getting knee deep in my pity party, or like when I was fresh. And I think you need some of that when you're fresh out of it. You need to talk to other people who understand. And all we want to do is tell our story. And, how he hurt me and what he did. And eventually, though, you got to start changing that story that you tell because you want a different outcome from it. Period. And if I continuously stay in that pain and fear struggle, I begin to take up residency there. Then, Mr. Lucky, you know what I'm talking about. You begin to take up residency in that story. And then you become attached to the outcome that you get when you tell that story. I don't want that to be my life statement. I refuse. You don't get to beat me, do all of these things to me, and that get to be my final life statement. No. No. You don't get it all, boo. It don't work that way. So what? How do you know you picked the right team? I need you to start asking them the so what question and look at the language that you guys are talking. And is it moving you forward, or is it honoring your fears, or is it honoring your hope and your vision and your dream? And some people don't know how to have that conversation. They don't know how. And that's okay. My question to you then becomes, so what? If they're uncomfortable having that conversation, so what that got to do with you? What are you going to do in that moment? Are you going to stop because they can't have that conversation? Or are you going to keep going because you need to finish it for yourself, and then when they're ready to have that conversation, you guys can have it? You got to understand the importance of your team members, and they are here to support you. And you got to take advantage of the support that you have around you. You've got to pick the right team. And in picking the right team, I want you to start by asking yourself those questions. So what? And if your team members can say, so what, we doing this thing, if they answer in the affirmative, then you know you got good team members. If they remind you of all the hardship, heartache, and what is currently in front of you and all the obstacles that you have in front of you, and they argue for the point of why you cannot achieve it. Maybe you don't have the right team members on your team, or perhaps you're ready to switch teams because Team Lack is no longer speaking your language. So what? So on this lovely day, I want you to ask yourself that question. So what? May your choices reflect your hopes, not your fears. And that's by Nelson Mandela. So let's ask the question, so what, today? And then let's look at our choices that we've made. Have they been reflecting our hopes, or have they been reflecting our fears? That relationship that we're in, does it reflect our hope or our fear? Did we settle because we assume that's all we could get? We assume that's all we good for? That friendship, is it 100, or did we settle in that too? Ask some tough questions today. May your choices reflect your hopes, not your fears. And here's another quote by my friend Pierre. He said, JoJo, because I caught him complaining one night about, oh Lord, it's hard. I'm trying. He said, Joe, it's not my job to feed into your doubts and your fears. It's my job to feed into your hopes and your dreams. And I was so quiet. I wrote it down, and I sat there quietly. And how many of my friends would have been able to tell me that and meant it? How many of my friends would have stopped me in my tracks and said, stop complaining. This is that. How many of my friends would have said, girl, you right, you can't do it. And you got to assess that. When you are in that negative space yourself, are your friends going to confirm it, or are they going to remind you of it? Yes, sir. How many of our friends will tell us that? Period. And faith and fear are both what we cannot see, but we believe will happen. Faith and fear are both what we cannot see, but we believe will happen. So if your friends can't say, you know what, JoJo, I'm not feeding into your doubts and your fears. I'm here to feed into your hopes and your dreams. Can your friends say that to you? Or will they say, so what? Would their answer for so what be reminding you of your fears, enforcing your doubts? Is that what they're doing? And if it is, then you already know what team they playing for. You ain't got to second guess now, nothing. You ain't got to question nothing, because you already know what they're about that life. Period. So on this lovely day, and it's going to be an amazing day, I want you to ask yourself that question, so what? And see the language that people give you after that. What are they saying? When you say, so what? I know this is hard. So what? I'm going anyway. I know my current situation doesn't line up with this, but I'm doing anyway. And if they are in the negative or the affirmative, now you know what team they're playing on. And you know how they think about you. You know how they think about you and the capacity of you to achieve your dreams. When you go to that friend and you say, this is what I want to do. And you say, so what about my surroundings, my relationships, my friends? So what? And they still tell you, man, you can't do that. That's how they see you. They may love you, but that's how they see you. And sometimes it's two things. That's how they see you, and it's a reflection of how they see themselves. Because they can't achieve it, they assume no one else in their circle can. Number one. Number two, if y'all friends, if y'all like this, then that means you are just like them, and how dare you want to be different than them. And three, they don't think you can do it because they assume that you're just like them. So if they can't do it, they think you can't do it. So that is a reflection of them. It's also a reflection on what they think about you. So try that out today. Tell me what you think. What was your response? So what? Look at your team members. Take advantage of them. They are here to support you on your journey. So the question becomes, so what? On this, it's going to be an amazing day. It's going to be a great, amazing day as you ask yourself these questions and get the answers that perhaps you didn't want. Maybe you didn't want that answer. It's okay. May your choices reflect your hopes, not your fears. And that is by Nelson Mandela. So on this lovely day, I want you to be peaceful, period, because there's absolutely nothing after that. There's nothing. So what? Your surroundings are what they are. So what? Your relationship is this. So what? Your family is this. What are you going to do anyway? So what? And then apply that to your team members. Because we're talking about how do you know you picked the right team? Are they talking your moving language? And when you ask the question, so what? Are they in the affirmative or the negative? And you got to be willing to have that conversation. And sometimes they're in the negative, or they say you can't achieve it and you can't do it because they know they can't do it. They assume you guys are on the same level. And they assume that you can't. They're looking at you and saying, you can't do it because I can't do it. They don't even believe in you. That's how they see you. They see you as someone on their level who's never going to go anywhere, do anything, achieve anything. And are you okay with that? That becomes a question you've got to answer for yourself. So on this lovely day, if you would like a Team Abundance shirt, please make sure you grab it here. Remember, if you want your name on the back, it is an additional cost. And please make sure you share the show, because sharing is caring. Don't forget, the Sister Rise Retreat is in 2 weeks. bit.ly/Sister Rise. I have 5 tickets left. So you can grab you a ticket before it is too late. So today, ask yourself, so what? And think, get a piece of paper and write it down. So what? And then begin to ask your friends, so what? And then see, when you're choosing your team, when you get to that answer of so what, now you will know whose team that you're playing for. Is your surroundings going to hinder you, or you're going to do it anyway? So what? Your relationships are what they are, so what? But what are you going to do about it? And take advantage of your team members. The quote of the day: may your choices reflect your hopes, not your fears. And that is by Nelson Mandela. Pick the right team. Pick the right team members. I don't want you on Team Lack and you trying to be positive. I don't want you on Team Abundance and you trying to be negative. A to the men, sir. I see them every day. There's a wall of quotes here. There's sticky notes in front of me. They're in my bathroom. They're in my bedroom. They're on my refrigerator. They're in my living room. They are everywhere. They're there. They are there. There's one there. I'm not playing. I'm winning this championship. I need my choices to reflect my hopes, not my fears. And if my friends can't understand that process of that journey, no matter how much I love them, maybe this moment, maybe this time is not where they need to be with me. Maybe I pick you up after I won the championship of this thing, and maybe then you can apply to be on Team Abundance. But I have moving language over here. And in having my moving language, I can't be distracted by your standstill language. Oh, I like that. Some folk have standstill language. And that means they talking and not moving. They got standstill language. They talking, but they ain't moving. And I have moving language. I'm going to talk and I'm going to move at the same time. Some folk, I like that. Some folk have standstill language. Hey, if you ain't moving in your purpose, You dying in it. You dying slowly every day. Every day. And if you don't understand what your purpose is, like Joe, I don't know. I see people saying they doing all this big thing for their purpose and their dreams. Boo, it is yours. Yours ain't got to be the big things of the world. Your purpose is your purpose. If your purpose is to change your family dynamics, then let that be it, boo. But you not operating in it is you dying slowly every day, because it is eating away at your soul to the point where you are the captain and the leader and CEO of Team Lack, because you can't for the life of you find a good thought. Hey, to the man, Lucky. And you got to have it somewhere where you can see it. Here's mine, and I got it from someone else. I don't motivate people. I help them by guiding them to the source of their own power. Isn't that beautiful? I don't motivate people. I help them by guiding them to the source of their own power. And that's by H. Rice. And when you understand your power and your purpose, whatever it is for you, you begin to speak a different moving language. Some of you have standstill language. You're going to stand still and talk. Like my daddy say, some folk won't work in a pie eating factory. And it took me forever to understand that. I said, what do you mean people won't work in a pie eating factory? Because he used to say it so fast. Oh, if their only job was to eat, they wouldn't do it because it was called work. So they'd starve to death. Some people will not work in a pie eating factory. They have standstill language. And so you need to ask them, you ask yourself, so what? Are they going to become part of your team or not? What you fixing to do about that? What are you fixing to do with them people who are standing still talking on your team? That's a question you need to ask yourself. So on this lovely day, I want you to have an amazing day. Please make sure you share the show, because sharing is caring. If your friends and family do not have Facebook, send them to the YouTube channel. They can binge watch all the Fearless Morning shows over there. I want you to be peaceful, period, because there's nothing after that. And if you share the show, please let me know so I can properly tell you thank you. And if I've said anything that has helped you, please let me know so I know that I'm not talking to myself, number one. And number two, for the testimonials, because we're about to do something big for the Fearless Morning Show, and I am excited. Thank you, Lucky. Thank you for being here with me today. I cannot do this by myself. That's why it's called Team Abundance. We're all working towards this thing. There is no Michael Jordan without Scotty. There is no Shaq without Kobe, Kobe without Shaq. Like, they go hand in hand, they go together. And so, as team members, we are here for each other to support. I cannot do this by myself. So, I hope you have an amazing day. And I will see you guys here bright and early tomorrow morning. Have a good one.